Hello, everybody. I wanted to quickly go over a little behind the scenes of some of the pieces I made for Red Queen. I will be wearing her one more time in June, and then she'll probably be retired from wear because she is extremely heavy. But that being said, I wanted to cover just a couple things. This monstrosity of a sword took a few months to create in total. It encompasses quite a few different elements of cosplay: gold flake, beads, opals, resin crafting, ribbon wrapped around the handle, appliques, beadwork, resin, glass, just the entire thing. Also, if I can find the switch, she lights up. Just kind of neat. I love that little touch. It's like a nice little surprise. But one thing specifically I wanted to mention about the sword: when you're adding different elements, like gold flake, it's important to coat it after you add it in there. I used Mod Podge gloss, specifically this one. There's not really a lot left in there because I went through basically an entire jar of this on this cosplay. But I use that to, first of all, put the gold flake on, just to get it in place. Glue's not going to work. Mod Podge is great because you could just do a thin layer and it holds the gold flake on there perfectly fine. Once the base layer with the Mod Podge was dry enough, I added an extra Mod Podge layer on top to seal it. After it was fully dry, I waited about 24 or 48 hours total, because just in case. I did eventually coat this with resin because I knew that I was going to be very rough on this sword, so I needed a very hard coating on the top. Mod Podge probably would have worked if I'm a lot gentler or more gentle with my cosplay props, but I'm not. But it does work very well as a sealer. I also used it on the heart as well, in addition to the trim here. This got a little tricky. I was very thrilled to learn that Mod Podge comes in another version, fabric. I just learned about this maybe a few months ago and it just blew my mind. The stuff is fantastic, and I will get to more about that in just a moment. But I did have to use a different type of Mod Podge here on the trim because it is technically fabric. Regular Mod Podge would have worked, but I needed something that would bond a little bit better to this particular material. So that is the sword. Actually, maybe I should mention one other thing that I used too. I did use Plaid FX as a base for the silver part on the sword. Unfortunately, I don't believe they make this anymore, but this stuff's great. But I did use this as a base because it is used for EVA foam, basically cosplay related things. So it is wonderful if you can still get your hands on it. So I did use a little bit of that as well. So that's the sword. Speaking of this fabric Mod Podge, that came in absolutely clutch with Red Queen's armor, because it had to move like this. There is an EVA foam layer underneath this, felt, EVA foam, stabilizer, and then stretch fabric on top of this. So it's a hybrid. It's EVA and fabric, which meant that regular Mod Podge would not have worked at all because it actually discolors gold flake, because this stuff's very finicky. You have to be really careful with it. I've learned the hard way. I've scrapped many a cosplay piece because of that. But this Mod Podge fabric worked perfectly on this. Let's look at that shine. Isn't that beautiful? It actually looks like armor. Also, this is resin here, but just look at that shine. That's just that Mod Podge fabric. It's incredible. And I did use it along the edges on the trim as well. And these armor pieces are sturdy. They survived an entire con. Not a single piece lost. I didn't lose any of the glass. I didn't lose any of the gold pieces, and it held up very well, didn't crack. It's wonderful. So if you haven't used this Mod Podge fabric in particular. Like everybody knows about regular Mod Podge, you know, the gloss, this stuff. But this stuff is phenomenal, especially for cosplayers. If you're rough on your props or your clothing for that matter, and you have a piece that you're worried about, this is great. It's also a wonderful sealer in case you tend to spill things on your cosplays like I do. So I wanted to talk about that. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to message me. But I definitely wanted to give shine a spotlight on this stuff. It is absolutely fantastic. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day and more good things coming soon.